Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Miss Emerson saw Nicole as soon as she entered the classroom. "Welcome back, Nicole," she said gently. Nicole smiled and said, "Thank you, Miss Emerson." The two had a tacit understanding. Miss Emerson was unspeakably grateful for Nicole. Had Nicole not chosen her as her teacher, she would probably not have been awarded the Excellent Teacher Award. She knew she had gone too far at first, and almost passed up such an outstanding student. She now told herself that she would treat Nicole doubly well from now on. No one dared to mess with Nicole again when everyone saw Miss Emerson had such a high regard for Nicole. As much as Vivian hated Nicole, she had to keep her displeasure to herself because of the presence of Miss Emerson. The morning class had begun. At lunch break, Nicole decided to go to the cafeteria. She knew she would attract attention, but she still had to go because Austin and others would look for her. Sure enough, as soon as Nicole and Lulu sat down, Austin and others swaggered into the cafeteria and came in front of Nicole. "Welcome back, boss. We missed you so much." Nicole rolled her eyes at them. "You all are in the top 20 in the grade. Don't call boss again, as if we're gangsters or something. It doesn't befit the image of top students." What Nicole said struck them dumb for a moment. "You're right, boss. We are already top students." "Exactly. Our demeanor should befit that of our identity." Sammy quickly echoed. "Then what should we call you from now on, boss?" They got a little confused. "Just call me by name," Nicole said. "Ha. Isn't that disrespectful?" "What?" Nicole shot him a look. Austin immediately obliged and said, "Yes, Nicole." He did not feel he deserved to call her by name, but still obliged, and the others followed suit. "Will you still give her tuition, Nicole?" Nicole glared at them. "No more free lunch." They all pulled a face upon hearing her reply. But Nicole did not bother to look at them again. "I gave you all tuition previously because I didn't want you all to get kicked out and also because of the bet. It was a desperate measure in a desperate time. If you all want to keep your grades, depend on yourselves from now on. Don't let my previous time and effort spent on you all go to waste." They felt sad to hear that, but it inexplicably ignited a fighting spirit within them. "We got it. Thank you, Bo Nicole." Sammy nearly made a slip of the tongue. Everyone else thanked Nicole, and the lunch break turned into a thank you party. After the meal, Austin said, "Before you left, you asked us to wait for you in the morning with the guy called Zeke. But we don't know him and have only found out that he is from the Northon Institute next door." "Aha." Nicole nodded. "He wants to learn martial arts with me. I remember you all said you wanted to learn too." They had talked about it a few times before in class. "We used to be interested, but now we don't think we still have the energy," several others said. "We're going to concentrate on our studies." If they wanted to keep up with the current learning progress, they would have to work hard for a while. "You all are right. But if you all are still interested, come to the sports field tomorrow morning, but give up the soonest if you're not interested." Nicole could not care less. Seeing that no one was joining, Austin gritted his teeth and raised his hand. "I'm joining." He would support whatever Nicole did. "I want to join too." Bradley's voice came from the other side. Nicole glanced sideways at him. "Why do you want to join?" "I also want to learn martial arts so that I can protect myself." He thought he could fight previously, but after seeing Nicole's skills, he was very envious. "Then I will see you tomorrow." Nicole nodded in agreement. Bradley and Austin were jumping for joy. Lulu and June could not help but chuckle at the sight. After the meal, they went outside together. While they were going, they bumped into Snow and Rain, who looked surprised to see Nicole back. They felt depressed at the thought of so many people at the family dinner falling over themselves, trying to brown-nose Nicole. It made the two of them feel as if they were not in the same league as Nicole was. Snow might be grateful to Nicole for helping her recover the pink diamond, but she still had a hard feeling toward Nicole inside. Rain was even more so when seeing Nicole surrounded by so many people. The moment they passed each other, Rain spewed her insult, saying, "I was wondering what that terrible smell was in the canteen today. It turned out to be that of a yokel." It infuriated Bradley and Austin at once. "Who are you talking about?" They all knew that previously on the school forum, everyone said Nicole was a yokel. The fact that Rain still mentioned it despite those posts had been taken down really pissed them off. Startled by the two of them, Rain immediately played the victim's card. "Help! The hooligans are beating people up." While doing so, she did not forget to smear Nicole. "Have you forgotten that you're from the Riddle family? How can you mingle with the hooligans? You might not be ashamed of yourself, but please think of the Riddle family." Those people who were on Rain's side previously remained silent this time. Now that everyone knew what Nicole was capable of and her relationship with Sebastian, the next governor, no one would want to offend Nicole. Without the ridicule and discussion of the people around her, Rain's provocation looked like a joke, somewhat untenable. Lulu could not help but step forward and said, "Why don't you keep on talking? Is it because you're embarrassed to find that no one gives a damn about you?" "Yeah, the entire school now knows that Nicole isn't a yokel. You two are talking nonsense to slander Nicole. I wonder what you two are up to." This immediately changed the way everyone looked at the two sisters. Snow sensed something was wrong and immediately pulled Rain aside. "Stop talking nonsense, could you? Still using such a bad trick, Rain really hasn't wised up at all." "Snow." Rain was frustrated, but Snow could not care less about her. Looking at Nicole, Snow smiled gracefully. "I would like to thank you for helping me get back the pink diamond at the Holder family party last time." She didn't say thank you last time, but now wants to thank me in public. Nicole could not help but laugh. Snow just want to shore up her persona. Nicole did not want to play along. "That won't be necessary. You blamed me for losing your pink diamond last time. Now that I've helped you recover it, shouldn't you issue a statement to clarify the truth of the matter?" Snow did not expect that Nicole would use her words to turn against her. There was a subtle change in her expression. It's true that I've misunderstood you before. So, how would you like me to clarify?" Nicole smiled. "Just post a statement on the school forum. It is something that you and Rain are very good at, isn't it?" Snow and Rain instantly looked embarrassed. Everyone knew the dirty things that the sisters did to Nicole previously. They posted false allegations and manipulated public opinion on the school forum. At this time, the people around them felt even more disgusted with the two of them. Seeing that there was no other way to save face, Snow had no choice but to agree. "Okay, don't worry. I will post the statement once I go back." Only then Nicole was satisfied and walked out. But as soon as she was about to walk out the door, she stopped in her tracks, as if remembering something. "I forgot to tell you, the last time when I went back to the manor the night the diamond went missing, Nora had been back but left without going upstairs. Could she have taken something and not dared to go upstairs?" The two sisters were stunned in an instant upon hearing that. "What do you mean? Could it be that Nora stole the pink diamond? But how could it be her? She had been dancing to our tune all this while. She wouldn't have the guts to do so." "What do I mean? Think for yourselves." Nicole snorted and left. Nora had pulled tricks on her previously. But because she was still in the Riddle family, Nicole did not want to humiliate her and her parents, and Snow and Rain to go to her parents if they found out. But now, she had nothing to worry about. Nora should bear the consequences for daring to frame her. Watching Nicole and the others leave, Rain gritted her teeth and said, "Snow, she is just trying to draw a wedge between us. Nora wouldn't dare dash." Snow shot her a glare. "What do you know? Do you really think that Nora is willing to dance attendance to us? She has been using you." Rain's eyes widened, as it was hard for her to believe what Snow said. "Has she?" Frustrated at seeing that her sister was so naive, Snow lost her appetite and turned to leave. The thought of Nora depressed her. "How dare you scheme against me? You'd better watch out for how I will fix you." Snow posted a statement to clarify the matter in the afternoon. As if she wanted to avoid humiliation, she made the statement as simple as possible, but it still caused a lot of discussion. Many people in the school knew that Nicole was a genius, a wizard. They started to trample over Snow, saying that they regretted voting for her as the most beautiful girl of the school, that she had a pretty face but no brain, and that she had framed Nicole. All in all, Snow's reputation had completely gone to the dogs. Edwin rolled his eyes and smirked when he saw the post, turning to look at Harvey, who was reading the speech script. "Do you really want to be together with Snow? With all due respect, she's no longer the most beautiful girl in school. Why are you still keeping her around you?" Edwin had always thought that Harvey had let Snow follow him because the most beautiful girl title could boost his ego. After all, as successful as the Riddle family was, but it was still not good enough for him. Snow was so fake, he wondered why Harvey was into her other than for her pretty face and academic performance. Harvey was still reading the script and did not spare a glance at Edwin. He just said in a gentle but distant tone of voice, "When did I say that I was going to be with Snow?" Edwin turned to look at him. "Come on, Harvey. It has gone viral. People say that you treat Snow specially, and have bought her a valuable pink diamond. She has been bragging about it everywhere she goes. Who is going to believe that you're not dating her?" Harvey listened to his rogue-like tone of voice and frowned. "Don't talk to me like this. Also, don't speculate about my relationship with Snow," he said coldly. All he was thinking now was Nicole. Snow's name annoyed him. Edwin was shocked. Lately, he had been mingling with Preston and was influenced by his roguish way of talking, forgetting that Harvey hated that tone the most. He smiled and quickly changed the topic. Since Harvey did not like to mention Snow, he would instead talk about others, such as Nicole, the top hacker, and the new, most beautiful girl of the school. "Harvey, don't you want to know who has such a charm that even Snow has been dethroned from the most beautiful girl position? To be honest, I was shocked to see that girl for the first time. She was not only beautiful but also kept Austin under as her lackey." Remembering all the things about Nicole amused Edwin, as Nicole's appearance had deceived him at the time. He waited enthusiastically for Harvey to ask him, only to see Harvey shoot him an inexplicable look. Edwin scratched his head in puzzlement. "What's wrong with me you are looking at me like this?" Harvey had finished reading the script and stretched out his hand to button the cuff on the right side. While he was at it, he looked at Edwin sideways and said in a normal tone of voice, "Did anyone tell you that curiosity killed the cat? Good Lord, he's threatening me, isn't he?" Edwin nodded hesitantly, not knowing what it had to do with what he said. Harvey had finished packing up and was ready to go out. "My advice to you, don't be nosy." With that, he stepped out the door, leaving Edwin to shudder at what he had said. It looks like Harvey really hates that I've talked too much. But I can't blame him, he hates people being inquisitive. I couldn't hold back my curiosity and so I deserve it. Anyway, Harvey doesn't know how lucky he is. I was trying to introduce Nicole to him, but he refused. If it weren't for my inadequate skills, I would have courted Nicole. Harvey doesn't really know how to appreciate her. The thought of Nicole filled his head as he recalled the time when Nicole was standing in front of the computer, fingers flying over the keyboard to show off her skills. The program and skills that she has used last time are not commonly available in the market. They seem to belong to some organization. Could it be that Nicole has another identity? He could not help but look up Nicole's ID, trying to find out what background she had. But apart from an account, there was no background information about Nicole. It was incredibly clean. Not wanting to give up, Edwin tried again but found that the method he was proud of might have failed, and what appeared in front of him was still a blank. Maybe Nicole's skills are not something that I can crack. Will this mean I have no hope? Edwin was depressed. It seems that I will need more time and effort to figure out Nicole's identity. Then he took out his mobile phone with great interest. Looking at the reply on the screen, his eyes lit up. This is a new account, but this person's information is still well hidden. Her previous records have been consciously erased, and the leads are all baits, which means I still can find nothing. She is really cunning. There was no information found except that she was Lucifer. Nicole's ID was so mysterious that it aroused Edwin's curiosity. Edwin scratched his chin and felt his curiosity had been completely aroused. I don't believe I can't find out who is behind her. As he spoke, he continued to hit the keyboard, trying to break through the firewall. He wanted to find a chance to learn about Nicole's true identity. But 2 hours later, Edwin still found nothing. He looked at the time. Preston should be about to finish class, so he got up, left the school lounge, and hurried toward the school gate. At this time, at the entrance of the school parked an extremely showy bright blue motorcycle. Preston was sitting bored on it with a lollipop in his mouth while playing a game on his mobile phone. Not far behind them was a group of girls who wanted to get closer but were too afraid to do so. Seeing Edwin coming, he frowned impatiently and threw his phone at him. "What took you so long?" Edwin caught the phone in his hand and helped him win the round before returning it. Preston looked at the victory on the screen. He said nothing, but just took a small black card out of his pocket and threw it into Edwin's hand. "This is for you. You want to join me for basketball?" Edwin put away the little card, then looked up at Preston. He suddenly found that his sharp facial features were inexplicably similar to Nicole's, and he was hooked. He thought it must be an illusion because he had been too busy lately. Edwin blinked his eyes. "They clearly look different. It's all in my head." He came out of his daze with embarrassment. "I need to take care of something back at the office, so I can't join you." Preston raked his hair irritably. "Okay, call me if anything. I'll go over when I'm done." Edwin nodded. Preston started the motorcycle and sped away. Going into the garage, Edwin got into his car and drove in the opposite direction. Nicole walked out of the school not long after the two left. She was in a hurry just now and just grabbed the school bag in her hand. When she was about to reach her destination, she carried her bag on her back and walked slowly to the cafe next to the school. When Claus saw Nicole, he greeted her and asked enthusiastically, "What would you like today, Nicole?" Nicole ordered a cup of caramel macchiato that she had tried last time. When Claus turned back to make the brew, she asked faintly, "Hasn't he come today?" Claus kept on doing what he was doing and replied briskly, "You miss our boss already, eh?" Nicole had no expression on her face and turned to sit down at a table, as if she was not bothered by Claus's nosiness. Claus then stopped what he was doing and took out his phone to call Max. "Nicole has arrived. Ask Mr. Johnston to come over early." There was a pause at the other end of the phone for a moment, as if the person was covering the microphone and asked the person next to him for instructions. Then Max replied, "Mr. Johnston asks you to entertain her. He will be there soon." Claus was relieved and took the freshly brewed caramel macchiato to Nicole. When he saw Nicole fiddling a pen between her fingers while studying, he could not help but smirk. Lately, Austin and his company had been frequenting his cafe, and he had heard from them that Nicole was a top student and genius, so he wondered why she still needed to study so hard. He could not help saying, "Your caramel macchiato, Nicole." Then he stood there for tens of seconds, waiting with certainty for Nicole to feel curious and say something to him. Nicole did not look at him but just said, "Put it down." Words choked in Claus's throat, and he was looking at Nicole when he sat back down. "She is cooler than Mr. Johnston. There is no superfluous word and gossip. She didn't even talk much while I was standing there. Well, since she is not asking, I can't just go over and tell her that Mr. Johnston will arrive soon. That will make me look stupid." He waited a little longer, and Jared had yet arrived. He became anxious, feeling not too happy, and so he texted, "When is the boss coming?" Max looked at the lit screen and then at Jared, who was getting some shut-eye beside him. From the time he got off the plane in the morning until now, he had not closed his eyes. As soon as he got into the car, the enervation got the better of him and he shut his eyes. So Max did not want to bother him. "We're on our way and we'll be there soon," he said. In the cafe, Nicole studied for a while and then reached for the caramel macchiato. She frowned after taking a sip. "It's all the same ingredients, but how does he make it taste so much better?" Nicole sighed softly as she put the cup back in place and continued studying. She did not touch the cup again until she left the cafe. After tasting something better, she no longer settled for less. Claus could not help but feel disappointed when his boss had not arrived, and he felt sorry to keep Nicole waiting. It was not until Nicole had gone far that he came over to clean up the table. But when he picked up the cup, he saw Nicole had barely drunk the coffee, and for a moment, he felt not too happy. He immediately texted Max on the phone, complaining that Nicole did not respect the fruits of his labor, that she did not appreciate such a delicious coffee, and that she really had a bad taste. Max was stuck in traffic. Jared's face had darkened, as black as ink, looking as if he would lose his cool at any time. He saw the message from Claus and calmly turned the screen off. But his phone still kept vibrating, as if the other side had no way to vent his grouses. Now, even Jared had taken notice. Max could only calmly tell Jared the truth. Nicole couldn't wait and has left. Jared's expression turned gloomy. It's okay. She's gone, but I can go find her. Nicole was on her way back. She wondered why Jared had not come as promised. Guessing that he might be busy, so she did not call him. She put on the headphones and listened to the music as she walked back. Soon, Nicole reached the entrance of the Royal Creek Institute and was about to enter when a security guy with a poor attitude stopped her. What are you doing? Don't you know that the school gate is closed after 9:30? Nicole hesitated slightly and checked her watch. She did not expect that she had waited for Jared for so long, even passing the school gate closing time. The security guy looked with disdain at Nicole when he saw a pretty girl dressed up like this come back so late at night. I have seen enough girls like this. They are willing to do anything, hanging out with men all day for money. She's thinking of entering the campus after it's past the school gate closing time? No way. The security guy looked at Nicole in disgust and mumbled to himself. I wonder what's wrong with college girls nowadays. They all have such poor quality. Nicole could have called Mr. Ellison and no one would stop her from entering, but since the rules were there, she did not want to break them. Glancing indifferently at the security guy, Nicole turned and walked away, intending to go home for the night tonight. Just then, a black vehicle with a special emblem of a unique flower came from the cafe's direction. When the security guy saw the vehicle approaching, he looked down upon it, as it was not the typical established brands he recognized, but still reluctantly opened the barrier to let it enter the Royal Creek Institute. The vehicle did not enter immediately, but rolled down the window and Jared's face popped out from the inside. He looked at Nicole and smiled. Get in the car. Seeing that it was Jared, Nicole stopped in her tracks and returned a smile, then got into the vehicle with no hesitation. The security guy looked on with surprise as the vehicle left in another direction instead of entering the school. As exasperated as he was, there was nothing he could do. Inside the car, Max secretly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead when he saw Jared's face had lit up, which was a rare sight. Fortunately, Nicole did not get to enter the campus. Otherwise, I would have been done for tonight, Max thought to himself. Seeing the smile on Jared's face after seeing Nicole, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Nicole did not know what Max was thinking. After she got into the car, she just rested her arm on the windowsill and said nothing. Jared looked at Nicole. He could barely see her snow-white jaw as her face was in the shade. He could not help but lean over and asked her gently, "You went to the cafe to look for me. Why did you leave instead of waiting for me?" Nicole turned to look at him. There was a rare sense of dilemma on her icy face. "You just returned from abroad, so I guessed you would be busy. Besides, I needed to return to the dormitory because the gate was closed." Her thoughtfulness softened Jared's heart. "But it was way past the time, and you didn't get to enter, right?" Jared reached to stroke her hair. Nicole did not resent it at all. She nodded matter-of-factly. "Yeah, thanks to someone, I missed the school gate's closing time." Jared looked at her. She sounded as if she were complaining but looked fearless. He could not help smiling, and his expression became gentler. His eyes upturned, and he exuded an indescribable charm as he propped a hand to his forehead. "Since you have no place to go because of me, I will take you to go somewhere fun." Nicole raised an eyebrow. Racing again? She did not want to go because she was tired today. Some fun place, not just that one. He instructed Max to turn the car around and drive out of town. No one was talking for a while, and the only sound in the cabin was the soft music. Nicole smelled the sandalwood scent on Jared's body and felt inexplicably at ease. She slowly closed her eyes and enjoyed a rare moment of serenity. By the time she woke up, the car had stopped, and she found herself leaning against Jared's shoulder. Nicole was surprised. She just thought of taking some shut-eye, not expecting to fall asleep just like that. For 10 years, she had not been able to sleep so soundly in front of others. Nicole looked at the extra suit jacket on her body and was bewildered. Grabbing the suit jacket, she looked up at Jared. "You're awake." He was wearing only a shirt, habitually rolling up a section of the cuffs, looking like a hippie-ish noble prince. Nicole handed Jared his coat and looked at him. "Thank you." Jared cocked a charming eyebrow at her politeness. "Why are you so polite to your boyfriend?" Nicole looked at him awkwardly. Every time when Jared teased her, she would be at a loss for how to react. Jared could not help smiling when he saw how nervous she was. He motioned for her to look out the car window and said, "Here we are. Don't you want to go in?" Nicole followed his eyes and saw 2 bodyguards at the entrance, which seemed to be that of a clubhouse. She pondered for a second and then said, "Give a second." Then she tore her t-shirt from the waist, revealing her fair and slender waist, and then spread her hair, messing it up, making her naturally curly hair look even more fluffy and wild. Jared looked at her and cocked an eyebrow in surprise. Nicole's eyebrows were extremely beautiful. She had always been dressed casually like a student all this while, but now she suddenly showed a bit of maturity, which made her look even more compelling. "Let's go in." Nicole let out a beguiling smile and got out of the car first. As soon as she stood up, her alluring, perfect waistline was fully exposed. Her thick, curly hair cascaded down to her waist, swaying as she went, firmly hooking Jared's eyes as like a hook, and he furrowed his brows gradually. Nicole heard Jared get out of the car and was about to take his arm to walk inside. She felt something falling on her shoulders. She looked down and saw the same suit jacket that Jared had put over her body before. Puzzled, she looked at Jared, but he had already walked past her and said in a not-to-question tone of voice, "Put it on." Nicole hesitated and had no words. She groused in her mind. "This guy is really bossy. But since he's upset that I look too sexy, I will put it on." Soon, the 2 walked together to the entrance, and the 2 bodyguards did not even bat an eyelid but let them in. The bodyguards felt relieved after the 2 entered. "Joe called just now that Mr. Johnston was going to bring a little girl, and I didn't believe it." "Did you see it just now?" "He didn't let her show her waist and wanted her to cover it up." The other bodyguard nodded. "Judging by Mr. Johnston's behavior, it is really unusual. But I've got a glimpse of her, she is really pretty." When he took a glimpse of the girl just now, the knife-like look in Jared's eyes was as if he was going to cut him into pieces. The first bodyguard said, "But there used to be no women around Mr. Johnston." "I thought dash." The second bodyguard suddenly shot him a look, and only then did he come to his senses with cold sweat breaking out all over his skin, realizing that he should not talk about their boss behind his back. Nicole was really surprised by where Jared had brought her to. It was San Joto's most luxurious private club. As soon as she entered, she heard smooth music, singing, and dancing. It was simply a paradise. She had never been here before, and could not help but lower her voice and ask, "Are there any rules here?" Private clubs usually had tons of rules which must not be broken. This had to be communicated and understood in advance. Jared looked at her nonchalant expression. He smiled even more and whispered in her ear, "There are no rules here, and there are all kinds of recreational facilities here. Just enjoy yourself." Unbeknownst to Nicole, and almost at the moment Jared came in, the club owner had got the wind of his arrival and hurried over with his men, just in time to hear the conversation between the 2. Hearing Jared say that there were no rules here, the club owner's mouth twitched, but he did not dare to say anything. There were many rules here, and those who had broken them had learned their lessons the hard way. But those rules would not apply to Jared. Johnston Group was a key partner of the Bond family this year. During the last joint venture, he sent Jared $1 billion, but Jared did not even bat an eyelid. Such a man was someone he really could not afford to offend. Mr. Bond came up to Jared and saw that Jared did not even want to spare a glance at him. He quickly greeted him. "Welcome to our club, Mr. Johnston." Only then Jared looked at him and smiled. "Mr. Bond, I'm here today with a friend. Don't make things so pompous." Mr. Bond felt a sense of relief and smiled servilely. "Absolutely." He then looked back and shouted to his men, Didn't you all hear what Mr. Johnston said? Get the hell out of here. After sending everyone away, he looked back, only to see Jared look at him with a half smile. He was stunned for a second, and then he let out a flattering smile. You must be busy, Mr. Johnston. I will leave you to it. Nicole took it all in, wondering how Jared could make Mr. Bond so afraid of him, but she asked nothing. She followed Jared into the club's central hall, a place filled with extravagance. Unlike the low-key color on the outside, the interior decoration was golden and brilliant with extremely dazzling crystal chandeliers, everything looking classy and grand. Nicole looked at the hall, which was almost as large as 2 football fields. The place was alive with music, dance, and a variety of board and VR games, like a game hall for the rich. She had a nonchalant look on her face, but deep down inside, she found this place quite novel. Jared languidly followed behind her, wanting to see what she was interested in. Claus came up beside him from nowhere to protect the two. Jared waved his hand at him, and Claus got the hint and kept silent, looking at Nicole from behind with curiosity. Nicole has been looking at these things for some time. Could it be that she doesn't even know how to play these games? Seeing that Jared had no intention of opening his mouth, he took matters into his own hands and walked over to Nicole. Every time Nicole walked to a table, he would explain the gameplay at that table. This is Monopoly. The more chips you get in the game, the more you'll be able to expand the territory on the table, he said. I know, while I was abroad, I've played something more professional than this. She was talking about the casino. While in this clubhouse, they were merely board games. She was not interested in these things and wanted to turn around to leave. But something caught her eyes unexpectedly. She saw someone she knew. Sitting in one of the seats was none other than Sammy, whom she had met in the cafeteria today. He was unsmiling and looking pale, his face full of sweat. But all the wealthy kids in San Joto were basically regulars at various clubhouses. Sammy was no exception. He had played countless board games, but for the first time, he lost as badly as he did now. He looked at his opponent across from him, unsure what tricks the opponent had used to beat him several times in a row, rendering him powerless to fight back. He was extremely nervous to see chips he lost were piling up in front of his opponents. Nicole felt something was wrong when he saw how nervous Sammy looked. Had this been just a regular board game, Sammy would not be so nervous. At this point, the player opposite Sammy spoke. Sammy, you concede defeat now and get down on your knees. Otherwise, transfer $1 million to my account tomorrow as you have just agreed. Sammy's face was grave. It turned out that Nathan Holmes, the player, had been harassing Vivian, his sister, for the past few days. They had agreed outside the clubhouse that if Nathan lost, he would never be allowed to harass Vivian again, but if Nathan won, then he would have to give him $1 million. For the sake of his sister, he must not flinch, and so he agreed. At first, Sammy won 2 rounds, but in the last round, Nathan suddenly challenged him to bet 1 to 10. Sammy thought today he had a good hand, plus he was desperate to beat Nathan, gritted his teeth and agreed. Nathan had been winning consecutively ever since, and had taken most of the territory on the board. The chips piled up in front of him were up to his waist, while Sammy had nothing left in front of him. Sammy's eyes burned with anger as he looked at Nathan, who was sitting across from him with his legs crossed. His pocket money was only a couple of 10 grand per month. No way he could come up with $1 million. So he could only continue to gamble to make a turnaround. But given the proportion of territory on the table, he had little chance to win, no matter how hard he wished. But he had no choice but to continue. I won't concede defeat. Let's play another round. Nathan saw that Sammy's determination and said cynically, have you thought through it, Sammy? $1 million is not a small amount. Do you really want to continue? Is it so hard to get down on your knees to beg for mercy and then introduce your sister to me? Nathan's lewd words made Sammy clench his teeth. His underlings behind him tried to dissuade him, saying, stop, Sammy. Think twice, as $1 million is not a small amount. Exactly. If your parents find out, they would definitely be infuriated. Sammy heard what his underlings said and thought of giving up, but when he thought of Nathan's eagerness for Vivian, he could not bring himself to bow to him. With this thought in mind, he looked at Nathan with icy eyes. Don't be too arrogant, Nathan. I will not lose to you. He then placed his bet. When Nathan knew he was not giving up, he burst into laughter. You're really stubborn, Sammy. Okay, if you want to dance, let's dance. He gave the dealer a look. What are you waiting for? Roll the dice now. The dealer got the hint and quickly scooped the dice up into the cup. The dealer was professionally trained, and his hand movement was so quick, his action in one fell swoop, and no one could see what he was actually doing. But just when he was about to reveal the dice to decide Sammy's steps, a hand suddenly reached out and pressed on the cup with an index finger. The hand had fair skin, beautiful slender fingers, and the perfect shape of lunaly on the nails, looking like a piece of art that God had carefully polished. Moving upwards, one could clearly see that on the slender and fair wrist was a red wristband that was neither too thick nor thin, and the bright red of the wristband contrasted well with her fair skin, so much so that it was almost heart-stoppingly beautiful. The dealer looked at the hand in front of him with cold sweat popping up on his forehead. Sammy had been nervously waiting for the dealer to roll the dice for him. He was bowing his head and silently prayed that his chess piece would stop in a favorable position. But at this moment, silence suddenly fell and then followed by Nathan's sneering laughter. Who is this yokel so ignorant of the rules? How dare she stop the dealer from rolling the dice? Call your manager, I need an explanation. Sammy looked up in shock and saw the back of someone he recognized. Isn't she Nicole? Just that her hair was disheveled, and she was still wearing an ill-fitting men's coat, but because she was tall enough and in good shape, she did not look strange in the men's coat, but with a bit of a yuppie. Not only Sammy, but several people next to him were stunned. What are you doing here, boss? She came not only to the club but prevented the dealer from rolling the dice, which was a big no-no in the club. Everyone looked at her with concern in their eyes. Before they could say anything, Nicole looked back and gave them an assuring look.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.